Hello champs and chappets, and welcome to a Board Games Everybody Should ... or more importantly, a Kickstarter that everybody should ... Yes, in this video I'm going to be showing you a new Kickstarter which is coming from the house that gave us such wonderful games as these here, the Boite Du Jeu. Their previous Kickstarters like Clash of Rage and Outlive, have been very successful, but they've also produced games which have gone direct to the stores like Han and Eidos. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to play their up and coming Kickstarter game Neta-Tanka. In this game players are playing as nomads of a native Indian tribe, and they have lost their wise old Neta-Tanka, and they are vying to be the new Neta-Tanka by doing nice things around the camp, like building tents, constructing totem poles, and collecting resources for the other players. So bear in mind, this is a prototype, hence it's marked work in progress. Okay, so everything that you see in this video is not a representation, a fair representation of the final product, and things may change. Like, I know some of the things which are definitely being changed, like the resources and some of the artwork, but bear that in mind as you look at how this game plays. So let's go to the table, but before that let's have a look at some of the characteristics about this worker placement, which I forgot to mention, game. Each player will choose a colour and take a clan board and a number of nomad meeples of their colour. In a 4-player game, you'll only use 3 of these nomads. In a 3-player game, you'll use 4, and in a 2-player game, you will take 2 colours of nomads, but you'll only use 6 of the 8 each round. You get to choose which 6 you play each turn. I'll explain the importance of this a little bit more later in the game. In the middle of the clan board, you'll need to place your copy power token, face down. Place the village board into the middle of the table, and next to that place the 4 common resources: meat, wood, mushrooms and animal skins. And next to that place that 1 rare resource, the animal skulls. You'll also need to place the generosity tokens next to your resources. Take the handcraft cards, shuffle them and deal out 5, and place these next to the board. Place the deck next to that and reveal the card on top of that deck. Do the same with the Neta-Tanka cards. Deal out 5 and reveal the one on top of the deck. Also next to the board you'll need to place a totem pole board. You'll place the one which represents the current number of players playing the game, 2, 3 or 4. Players will place their totem pole tokens on the far left space, as they have not yet constructed a totem pole. On the board you'll need to place out 3 wood and 1 mushroom in the forest area, and 3 meat in the tanning area. In the hunting area, you'll take the 2 buffalo tokens and only reveal 1 of them face up. This is a buffalo that has been caught. Take the link tokens, shuffle them up and place them face down on the empty link token space. Next, take the canoe cards, give them a shuffle up and create a deck depending on the number of players playing. So if there were 2 players, you create a deck of 5 cards, 3 players, 7 cards, and 4 players, 10 cards. This deck acts as a timer of the game and will tell you when the game ends. Reveal the top canoe card and place the black meeple nomad next to this. Each player will receive 2 animal skins, 1 wood and 1 mushroom, which they'll place into their personal reserve. And they'll also receive a secret objective card. Choose your start player and you're now ready to play. So the objective of the game is to be the most generous player at the table, or the most generous nomad in the village, by performing actions which are going to give you generosity points, which mainly are going to be put onto your clan board for all the actions that you do. But there will be some generosity points that you can gain, like such as the tokens, or the Neta-Tanka cards, or even your objective card could be traded away as a generosity point to perform an action or to gain some extra resources. Taking a closer look at your clan board, you're going to get generosity points for the amount of teepees that you construct. Teepees require 2 animal skins and 1 wood, and you can start construction from the left hand side of your clan board. You can even start work on an adjacent teepee even if you haven't finished the last one, but you only score points for all of the finished teepees to the left hand side of your clan board. And you'll also need to be careful because sometimes you'll need to place a resource such as mushrooms or meat to get to the next teepee. You'll also get points for cooking food for your clan. Fill up the cauldrons, again from left to right, with meat and mushrooms. And at the end of the game, for each mushroom you have in a cauldron, you get a point. And for each meat, you get 2 points. If you manage to fill the first 5 cauldrons on the left, you'll unlock this special power which will allow you to copy the action of another nomad. You'll also be able to build objects like tom-toms, bows and arrows, and clothes. Each object requires different amounts of resources, wood and animal skins. For each object constructed, you'll get generosity points, but you'll also get generosity points if you manage to complete a set of 3 different items. And finally, there's the totem pole. If at the end of the game you have a totem pole which consists of 2 wood and 1 animal skull, you'll get 5 points. But if you double that and construct one out of 4 wood and 2 animal skulls, you're obviously going to get 10 points. The other thing to take into account is the totem pole board. If you have the tallest totem pole at the end of the game, you're going to get a bonus 8 points. Whereas if you have the smallest, you're going to get minus 3 points. And then of course, if you complete all the objectives on your objective card, you get the points marked on it. Or you could discard it for 1 generosity point and use that to get a resource or perform an action. But I'll go into detail about that a little later. How does the game play? Wow! The game breaks down into as many rounds as there are canoe cards in the deck there. And each round is broken down into 3 phases. On the first phase, players will start placing out their nomads onto the spaces onto the board. Starting with the first player, they'll place out one of their meeple on one of the spaces, and then play passes to the left, and then that player will place out one of their nomad meeple, going all the way around the board until everybody has placed out all of their meeples. There are several different types of spaces. There are open spaces that can hold any amount of nomads. There are the elder locations which can only hold 1 nomad. And then there are the normal spaces which can hold only 1 nomad, but if you have the copy power, you can actually place a second nomad there, but no more. And some of the canoe cards have 2 normal working spaces, which means that 2 nomads can be placed there, no problem. And in the center space, if there are 4 players playing, that activates a second normal space there. Once all placement is done, we move to the second phase, which is the activation of your nomads. Starting with the first player, they will activate all of their nomads in any order that they wish. After they've activated them, they lay them down to say that they've been done. And then play will pass to the next player who will do exactly the same. So let me just go over some of the action spaces and how they work. Some spaces will have your workers doing a job somewhere on the village board. So in this case, this worker here is going into the forest to collect wood, and they will bring back 3, and these will stack these resources, and he'll also bring back 1 mushroom. And as compensation for that, they will receive 1 generosity point, which they can either spend or keep as a point at the end of the game. Having a worker in the lumber yard means that this worker will collect 2 bits of wood from the forest area. If you visit the elder space of the forest, this worker has a choice of 2 actions. They can either collect a wood And this blue hand underneath means that the wood doesn't come from the forest board itself, it comes from the general reserve. Or the other action is to take a wood from your reserve and add it to a totem pole. If you're the first player to start work on their totem pole, you take the token of your colour and you place it in the rightmost space. If another player starts to work on their totem pole and the number of resources that they use does not surpass your own, they move their token below yours. But if at any time anyone's totem pole is taller than your own, they go in front of you and everyone slides down. And even the canoe cars have a choice. You can either take one of the resources from the left, or you can pay 1 meat or 2 mushrooms to take the visiting nomad, and you can use them on your next turn. You also get to take the first player marker, which will make you the first player for the next round as well. Another choice you may have is to visit the Neta-Tanka, and you can either pick up a Nētā-Tanka card, or you can spend 1 meat or 2 mushrooms to add a animal skull to your totem pole, and animal skulls are very hard to get hold of. If an action ever lets you take a Neta-Tanka card or one of the handcraft cards, you either take it from the reserve and not from the deck, and as soon as it's taken, you replace it with a card from the deck and reveal the next one. The Make an Offering space is a special place where you can spend your generosity points to perform up to 3 actions. You can exchange 3 generosity points for 3 resources from the general reserve, or vice versa, exchange a resource from your reserve to get a generosity point. You can spend a generosity point to pick up a handcraft item, or you can spend a generosity point to use one of the links. You can do a combination of any of these 3 actions, but if you do the link action, every time you use it, you have to use a different link. What's a link, you say? A link action is a free action that you can take on your turn. If you have 2 of your nomads adjacent each other, you get to take that link action in the middle. In this case, this link action here will let me take 1 wood from the forest reserve. Whereas if I had a link here, I would take 1 wood from the general reserve. Links will let you take actions just like on the action spaces, and they will also help you get that very rare resource, the animal skull. And of course, you can have a multitude of links and you can activate them in any order that you wish. You can do them before you take your actions, you can do your actions before you get the links involved. Now, in a 2-player game, you're going to be controlling 2 different colors, and the links won't work between the 2 different colors that you control. They will only work between the same link. So if I was controlling green and red, I could use this link here, but I could not use this link here. So as you can see, there are action spaces and links that will let you take resources from the general reserve and place them on the board, or take them from the board to put into your reserve, or take direct from the general reserve to put into your reserve. There are also action spaces and links that will let you use your resources to construct things onto your clan board and also gain some generosity points. Now there's some extra little rules. You can, if you wish, give once per turn 1 of your resources to another player as long as they don't have that resource, and what you'll get to take is a generosity token from the reserve. Also, if you're using the visiting nomad, you can place them on any space apart from the elder spaces, and when you do, you can also double up and use like the copy power, and so you can do the same action that someone else or yourself has done. So now all players have had their turns, it goes to the cleanup phase, ready for the next round. The first thing you're going to do is discard the top canoe card and reveal the next. If there are no more cards left in this pile, that means it's the end of the game and you go directly to scoring. If there are 2 buffaloes that have been caught, 1 will escape, leaving only 1 left. If there are more than 3 meat in the tanning area, return any excess to the general reserve. And then finally, collect all your nomads except if you did the Elder of the Hunt or the Elder of the Forest. These nomads are obliged on the next round to go to the hunt area or go and collect resources from the forest. So if it is the end of the game and there are no more canoe cards, it's a case of finding out now who is the most helpful, friendliest person at the table by adding up all your points. Points for all the teepees you've constructed, points for all the food that you've given to your clan, points for your totem pole, plus the bonus, points for the objects that you've made, again including the bonus, points for your objective card if you've completed it, and of course points for all your generosity point tokens that you have. The player with the most points becomes the next Nētā-Tanka. So now let's go into my first impressions of the game. Now remember that this is a prototype, so I can't really do a proper review of the game because it's not the final version. This is just like the basic version of the game. Again, this is going to be Kickstarter, so there will be changes, there might be expansions and little add-ons and bits and pieces which change the rules. There'll obviously be more components due to the fact that this version of the game only has 4 objective cards, so that's 1 for each player. I presume there will be a lot more in the original game as well, which will give a bit more variety. Again, I can't critique too much the components themselves because, as I said, this is a prototype, and again, Kickstarter and stretch goals that will be unlocked will probably ameliorate the version of the game and what you actually see. I do know that this is going to come in 2 versions. There's going to be like a standard version like this, and then there's going to be a kind of special version, deluxe version with deluxe components and bits and pieces. Now just think back to Outlive, their other Kickstarter they did the same thing. You can go and check out some videos there as well. Go and check out some Outlive videos. You'll see the comparisons between the 2 versions to get a gist of what this Kickstarter can be. So this is a worker placement game. I'm privy to worker placement games. I like them quite a bit. I like the fact that I feel like a manager and I'm, working in an office and I'm ordering people around to do jobs to make me, get a promotion. But this game is slightly different because of the theme. The theme is a bit more like a president. You're kissing a baby's head, you're changing that rule to make yourself more popular. Well, actually it's the election before the presidency kind of thing. You're trying to get elected. It's the same thing here. You're doing nice things around your village to try and get that title, to be the next Neta-Tanka, to be the next wise person in your tribe. And the theme is original, and the theme works and comes through this worker placement mechanism, because sometimes you're going to be going to a place where you're not really getting anything, but you're helping out everyone else. You go hunting for buffalo, you catch a buffalo, people thank you for it. Thank you for catching a buffalo. And then maybe you place a worker on the, kill the buffalo and skin its hide and prepare the meat. Or maybe someone else does it and they get to take some hides. So you caught the buffalo, but they're taking hides, and then maybe someone else will take the space and take some meat, and you don't get nothing apart from some just gratitude of catching the buffalo. And I like that. That's refreshing in a worker placement. I hope there'd be probably more spaces like that. Well, there's the forest space which does the same thing, but it does give you a kind of like a thinking mechanism, because it's all about timing, because every player is going to activate their tribes, their clansmen, their nomads at the same time. So like the first player, if they going to cut up the meat but nobody's caught a buffalo beforehand, their action is wasted, so to speak. So it's a question of timing. But as I said, the theme is nice. You're being generous. You're building teepees for your fellows in the village. You're feeding your fellow villagers, and then you can unlock that special power of copying an action. Another nice twist on this game is the kind of like area control part of the game, where if you're doing 2 adjacent actions and there's a link in between them, you get that bonus link. In this version of the game, there are lots of links which are all kind of like set up in the same kind of area. So there'd be like one for collecting 2 wood, there'd be one that you can collect 1 wood, and the link in the middle will let you collect another wood. And so you can get lots of wood by having 2 workers next to each other. Whether or not the other players will interfere and see that you're trying to do that because they see that you're trying to build teepees or build a totem pole, will play out as it plays out. Sometimes in the game, people will, deliberately block other players, but most of the time players will just like, oh, I need to do these actions, I need to complete this to do my objective. So players won't do that. So the links are quite powerful. It'd be nice to see a version of the game where the links are moving around, so it gives you a different strategy next time you play. But I like it. It gives a different kind of taste to the game. Now the game is simple to play and it's very simple to pick up and play. The iconography is pretty quick to learn, and after a while players just like get it after about 1 or 2 turns. And the gameplay is pretty fluid. A 2-player game can be quite quick because you're only playing 5 rounds. And if you're playing against someone who's just like really kind of not aggressive, but you know, they're just like, okay, I need to do this, bam, 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 bam. The game is over in about 30 minutes. Whereas if you're playing with a 4-player game and you've got 10 rounds, you've got less workers, but at the same time, the game, it seems balanced, because at the end you always feel like you want to have done more. You know, you look at your clan board and you go, okay, right, I could have built some more TPs and got just that few more points and fed a few people, maybe unlocked the power. You're always like, I just want one more round just to do that and collect that resource, and which is great in a worker placement game, great in any game, that want to do that bit extra. Again, if I remember my first time, we just about managed to complete our objectives. But the second time I played, I was able to complete my objective like in the 8th round, and then I had 2 rounds just to get extra points. And I feel that if I play it more and more, I'll be able to cut that down even quicker. But not much, obviously. So there you go, that's my first impressions of Neta-Tanka. Hopefully it's pointed you in the direction whether this is a game for you or not. If it is, there's a link up on the screen which will take you to the Kickstarter page, which opens on the 5th of June 2018. You can go there, check out all the details about the game, ask some questions to the producers of the game, and also check out any other reviews of the game as well and see how they feel and think about this game. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that it's helped you out. If you like this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might be interested in this game, share it with them. And you can always go to my site, boardgameseverybodyshould.com, and check out all the other games that I've looked at, and you can look at the Outlive videos that I've done as well. It's a blog page. It's also a Patreon page. You can go to my Patreon and throw a few pennies my way if you're feeling generous, and maybe enter yourself into my monthly prize draw to win yourself a board game of some sort. So I will say thank you very much for watching, ciao for now, and remember to please play nice with each other.
Just sitting at the table next